Okay, so I think we're live now. Um, I'll go ahead and just give this a few minutes and see if people start joining the live stream. And I actually tried this just 15 minutes ago. I think I left it unlisted on accident, the whole stream. So I'm not quite sure how this works, but if I get a reasonable amount in and there's still no viewers, then I'll go ahead and just end this stream. So, uh, okay, so it looks like we do have at least one person joined, so I fixed whatever problem that was. So, what's my favorite pizza? Oh gosh, I think all pizza is disgusting except for cheese and pepperoni. So, those are just kind of the two kinds, honestly. So, uh, all right, I'm going to go ahead and jump into this while we wait for more people to join. I'm just going to give a quick update on the state of the channel and then go ahead and take some questions and do some Q&A. So, I guess to start off with, I want to say up front that I am probably going to be doing very, very little apologetic material going forward, because I had this sedevacantism refuted video that took me like 8 months to make. So I'm pretty proud of how it turned out overall, but I think that type of content is not necessarily what I want to be making entirely. I think that right now, as I've kind of reflected for the last month and a half, 2 months, I'm not sure how long it's been, on what I want to do with the channel, and ooh, we want more apologetics. I see that here in the live chat. So, yeah, when I kind of review what the state of YouTube as a whole is in the Catholic sphere, I think almost like there's a oversaturation of apologetic material. That we have a lot of apologists, and it seems every day we have 10 new channels popping up, like saying like, oh, 5 reasons sola scriptura is wrong, or something like that, why Protestantism fails. And I'm almost worried that we're getting to the point where there's on YouTube so much apologetic material and not nearly enough stuff that actually inspires people to want to live the faith. And I think that it's almost like we want to bring so many people into the church, but then what happens when we're actually in the church? Do we just sit around and give apologetic arguments and appreciate why we're correct? Is that really as far as we want to bring the faith, or just sit around and talk about this current state of the church? It's like, almost imagine, like, I think that we define our whole faith in relation to the attacks against it, or the current state of the church. And imagine that the state of the church was completely perfect. There was no problems, and there were no attacks against the faith. So every single person in the world was Catholic. It's like, what would you do at that point? And that's kind of what I started thinking through more and more. And I'm thinking, okay, there's a lot of great apologetic material out there, and I really appreciate it. And there is some content about living out the faith, and I think that it's pretty high quality what we do have, but I think there's not enough of it. And I remember I was even thinking about recently some of the events I attended a lot through college, and kind of the young adult stuff they had off of my campus. And it was kind of interesting because we have a tendency, they did a lot of apologetics there, they did a lot of tiptoeing, and me and a friend were talking recently, and we were just kind of wondering, okay, what do you do once you're inside the church? You know, we have all the apologetic stuff, we were polite to all the Protestants who attended our events, but it's like, okay, what do we do once we're there? And it kind of seemed like we had outreach event after outreach event, and then once you were actually brought into the church, the only thing you got was to be on the other side of the table at these outreach events. And I think that that's what we're kind of running into with Catholic YouTube, is 80% of it is either apologetic stuff, you know, refuting Protestants, whatever, or talking about the state of the church currently. And I want to offer something a little bit different. So I've been working on some stuff in the background. I'm working on a series of Catholic book reviews. Currently reading through The Imitation of Christ and St. Augustine's Confessions. And those are both really fantastic books, and I want to do these reviews of them to get people excited about them, want to read them and revisit these classics. And I'm also starting another series called Protestantism Can Be Very Annoying. I just saw that comment. And I want to start a series called The Theology Of, where I take various things from media, from culture, and analyze them from the perspective of Catholic theology. So I might have the theology of, what I'm working on is the theology of the shaggy dog. And I think that one's going to be, I think that's going to be my best video, honestly, when I finish it. Or the theology of, I don't know, Spider-Man or something like that. And just kind of make content that takes things that people are familiar with and puts them in a new perspective, so that when they see these things in the future, when they review them, it reorients their mind towards Catholic living, towards a virtuous life. And I think that there's not really a lot of that out there, and I just want to, I'm kind of stumbling over my words here. I didn't do enough preparation for this. And I just kind of want to supply more of it. So I will still be making some apologetic stuff. Sorry if I'm looking over so much. I have a piece of paper I have notes written on. I will be making some apologetic stuff, and mostly anti-sedevacantist stuff, because I think that there's also not enough anti-sedevacantist stuff. As I mentioned in my video, one of the problems that we're facing right now is that sedevacantists have spent the last decade or two making video after video, article after article, writing book after book, and it's really starting to pile up. And in terms of the refutations against it, it's like we have some podcasts here and there, like individual podcast episodes. We have a couple little 5-minute, 10-minute videos, some clips from Catholic Answers call-in shows. And we do have some books too. I really do enjoy some of the books out there, but there's really nothing matching the vigor of sedevacantist material out there. So I think that's one area where I do kind of want to jump into the apologetics. You'll be called Gen Z quote Catholic by the Diamonds. Okay, so there is a video out there by RZ Apologist. I've spoken to him a couple times. I was in some of his Discord servers, and that's actually what he called me one time when we were on the phone. He called me Gen Z quote Catholic, and in his videos they actually refer to me as that several times, Gen Z quote Catholic. The Diamond Brothers specifically, I really hope that the Diamond Brothers make some sort of response to the Sedevacantism Refuted video. I don't think that'll ever happen. I think that compared to them, I'm a really minuscule channel, so I don't think it'll ever happen, but I would love that. I would pay them $1,000 to make a video response to the video I made, Sedevacantism Refuted, but I highly doubt that'll ever happen. So yeah, I will be making more Sedevacantist material, and that actually does bring me to my next point here, which is that let's see, are you affiliated with the Twitter account Gen Z Catholic? I am not. I actually I got permabanned from Twitter back in, I don't know what year, like 2017 or something, because I made when the NPC meme was first starting and they were just mass banning everyone who made an NPC account. I was actually one of those, and they permabanned me. I tried to make a new account, and it would instantly say like, hey, no, you know, this is ban evasion. So I think I could make a Twitter account now if I tried, but I just hated my time on Twitter so much. But yeah, if there's a Twitter account out there called Gen Z Catholic, that's not me. So I did want to take one more moment before opening it up for Q&A to talk about some of the responses that have been made to my video Sedevacantism Refuted, because a lot of people have wanted me to say something about it, and a lot of people have wanted me to do full rebuttals, and honestly, I don't feel like I could, because a lot of times I've watched all the stuff out there, and I feel like most of there's like 7 hours of combined content, maybe more than that, and it doesn't address my actual arguments like at all in those 7 hours. There are 1 or 2 points where I think they do kind of address what I'm saying, and reasons I could give to those specific points, but I feel like the vast majority of the arguments I made went unaddressed. And it's really strange to me, because I presented several new arguments against sedevacantism that, to my knowledge, have never been made before publicly. And am I really supposed to believe that they just forgot to address those in like the 7+ hours of combined content trying to refute my video? Every single one of them forgot to bring up my new arguments? Really? I think that sedevacantists specifically, they follow a script. They have arguments that are made, and then they quote, cum ex apostolatus, or Canon 188 Part 4, like anything like that. They just follow the script. And as soon as you go off script and you start making epistemological arguments, they don't know what to do. They just shut down. So I think that the actual epistemological arguments that I make, which that was the point of the video, was to really build to the epistemological arguments and show why sedevacantism could never be true. They don't have a response to those arguments because it goes off script. And I think a lot of people are, if these types of arguments that I presented catch on, people are waiting for the bigger sedevacantist apologists to reply to these arguments and give the response, so they can get the software updates, so to speak, and they know how to reply to them. But once you go off script, they don't know what to do. And so, and I even had several sedevacantists, I saw them, they would leave over 50 comments, sometimes 100 or more, and somewhere in those comments, which I've read basically every comment on my video, they would admit, I haven't even watched it. It's ridiculous, because they're very confident, they're very smug, and saying, oh, everything you're saying is just straw mans and ad hominems and stuff like that, and then they admit, I haven't even watched it, or they say, like, I watched 10 minutes of it. And really the best parts of the video are towards the end, especially the computer analogy. And I'll be taking some sections of that video and uploading them as their own video, so people can actually see like just the meat of it, the fundamental arguments, because maybe that was my fault in taking like an hour and a half just to get to the best arguments. But did I see the part 2 documentary from RZ Apologist? Yes, I did. I listened to it all the way through, and it's a little bit strange, because in part 1 they said we'd be going through his entire video, we're leaving nothing out so you can see his whole arguments, and they cut out the history section. It's like, okay, you don't really need to, if you're going to refute my arguments, yeah, just cut out the history section, whatever. So they start at the beginning of my actual arguments against sedevacantism, and they showed about like 30 minutes of it, and then they just stopped and said, okay, we're going to have a part 2 and part 3. And then part 2 comes out, and then they say, oh, we already refuted Gen Z, quote, Catholics, so we're going to move on to other things now. And then part 2, like, didn't respond to my arguments at all. They just talked about, like, Timothy Gordon or whatever. So, and then I talked to them privately, and they said, like, yeah, we're not going to be making the part 2 or part 3. We're done with your video. So I'm kind of confused, because they said they would be showing my arguments in full and leaving nothing out, and then they left like most of it out. So yeah, I think again that might be because I went off script and I started making epistemological arguments that are much harder to refute than the basic type of arguments put forth about, like, oh, well, if you read cum ex apostolatus this way, then because those were not the main points I was trying to get at. So that is, one more thing I wanted to mention is that the re-uploads of certain sections of the sedevacantism video, they will have the music fixed a little bit. I know most people hated the music for the sedevacantism video, and I don't blame them too much, because I really tried with the Iceberg to give it like good music that I thought was entertaining and fit the situation, and people hated the music for that. So I decided, okay, I'll do something much more reserved, something a lot more not as noticeable as it was in the Iceberg. And Then when I was basically finished with the whole video, I just had to put the music in. My wife went into labor, and so I basically had to put that on hold for like a week, and then eventually I had to literally hold my son in one hand and edit the video with the other to put the finishing touches on there. And so I just kind of threw in music really quickly, and there was one track I accidentally left going for like 20 whole minutes. And so yeah, I can kind of see how that music was a little bit more annoying, but I'm kind of a little frustrated because it's like, okay, I do obnoxious music for the Trad Iceberg and people hate it, then I do reserved music for the Set of Econtism video and people hate it, so it's like, okay, I think going forward I'm just going to do whatever I think is best. So the music will be fixed in that. I know that there's one track in particular that most people just hate. I've even had people straight up tell me like, dude, this music's giving me a headache, so like me personally. So and so I'm going to be fixing some of that music. I'm probably just going to use the 2 or 3 tracks in there that weren't as grating to listen to. So I will be fixing that. So with that in mind, I'm going to, I don't know how long this is going to go on, but I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick Q&A here. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the live chat. And I'll go ahead and see how many I can get to. So yeah, if you have any questions, just feel free to send them in, and I'm going to be scrolling up to see if there are any that I missed from earlier. Oh, how many kids do I have now? So I just have the one son. He was born about 7 weeks ago. And, you know, he's honestly really amazing. He's a baby, so he doesn't do much, but I'm really impressed with how already he's able to, like, if you're holding him like by the armpits, he's able to press his feet onto the ground as if he's like trying to stand, and he's like super vocal and likes to just kind of talk all the time. It's really amazing. But yeah, I just have the one son right now. Okay. Do I like any parts of the Novus Ordo? Actually, yeah. So I've never admitted this publicly before, but I'm actually a pianist and organist for a Novus Ordo church. So a lot of people after the Iceberg thought that I was like completely anti-Novus Ordo, oh, it's invalid, or it's maybe barely valid or something like that. But I'm actually not anti-Novus Ordo. I'm anti-bad Novus Ordos, which unfortunately like 99% of Novus Ordos are bad. But yeah, I actually do play music for a Novus Ordo Mass. I very rarely go to the TLM. In fact, when I do go to the TLM, I'm still kind of getting my bearings because I can only go like once every like 5 or 6 months. So yeah, I'd say I like the Novus Ordo in as much as it's, you know, the Mass. So yeah. Will I refute orthodoxy? I don't know if I'll ever be tackling orthodoxy. I know that that's I'd say currently, at least, it's above my pay grade, so to speak. I think that a lot of the Orthodox Christians out there are really well studied on things like history and philosophy to a greater extent than I am. So I don't feel like I'd confidently be able to tackle orthodoxy, at least not right now. Maybe if I studied up on it for like 5 years or something, then maybe I'd start doing that. But as of now, I have some of the same objections that I have to orthodoxy that I do to Sedevacantism, such as there's no central authority. How do you know what's true and what's false definitively without a definitive authority, a living authority to appeal to? So, but yeah, I don't plan to cover it too much. Okay. Am I aware of the YouTube account PoxTube? I've actually not seen them. I think it's weird. I think that might be one of the channels that when I was scrolling through my analytics and it showed channels similar to my own, I think it might have been on there, but no, I'm actually not familiar. Okay. I should have played Family Guy clips for the Iceberg. Yeah, that would have been really great. Yeah. What are my thoughts on Magoria? Oh boy, that's another thing that I'm not super well studied on, but I will say my passing impression is that it seems a little suspicious to me. I'm not going to say that any Catholic shouldn't believe in Magigoria, but my personal line in the sand is I will believe in an apparition if it's been approved by the church, and if it's not been approved by the church, then I'm going to be very skeptical of it. Just because if you start believing in things that are not approved by the church, you can get pretty swept away in it. So I'm skeptical of it. I'm waiting for any official pronouncement from the church, but yeah. Will I address how sedevacantists like to use the Gish Gallop fallacy? Yeah, I think that was something that I was thinking about including in the video, but then I thought that Trent Horn had brought that up in his video, and I didn't want to seem like I was just taking Trent Horn's ideas and just recycling them as my own. But yeah, I thought Trent Horn covered that pretty well. Is he baptized? No, my son is not baptized yet. We're actually going to we have the baptism scheduled. If anything goes wrong, or if there's any sort of situation where he needs to be, then, you know, I'll just have a water bottle nearby. But he has his baptism scheduled. I wanted it to be done a lot sooner, but unfortunately there's a lot of bureaucracy with getting a baptism scheduled right now, and I'm kind of wondering why there is so much bureaucracy. It's like, what are they so afraid of? Too many baptized people? So he is not baptized, but we have it scheduled for pretty soon here. Have I seen Sedevacante's response videos? Yes, I have. I've seen them all the way through. I was really disappointed that he stopped making the videos right before I got to what I thought were the best parts of the video. I would have loved to see his response to my epistemological arguments, but at the same time I felt like most of what he did was just talk around my actual points, or just miss what I was actually trying to get at. So I was a little disappointed by that, but honestly, and I know this is going to sound like tongue-in-cheek, like I'm just being snarky, but I do appreciate the efforts. If anyone's going to sit down and make their own content to respond to something, I appreciate that a lot more than someone who's just going to go in the comments and say a bunch of nasty things. It's like, you know, if they're actually gonna sit down and make a video, I appreciate that, but I would have liked it more if he actually addressed my arguments a little more head on. What's my next big project planned? So I think that I have a couple of them planned right now, and the first of which is I'm reading through Imitation of Christ and Confessions, so that I can do some book reviews on them, and I want to make those pretty high quality. So the next thing is the the Theology of series. So I'm currently working on both the theology of Spider-Man and the theology of the Shaggy Dog. I think those are going to be the next ones that I make. Besides those, there's going to be some smaller videos coming out pretty soon here. The next really big project that I have planned that's going to take me like months and months is going to be a public domain hymnal. So an entire hymnal of 100% public domain music that any church can use. I get, you know, as a musician, as a church organist, I get so upset that so much of the music in hymnals is copyrighted, and it's infuriating to me. So I plan on making a hymnal where you don't have to buy the hymnal and then pay for rights to play it at mass and then pay for rights to stream it if you're streaming it. It's just public domain, and you just have to buy the hymnal itself, which I plan to make as cheap as I possibly can. And then in theory, a parish could just buy the hymnal itself and then not have to pay for the rights to use the music. And I might even write a collection of original hymns to put in there and then also make those public domain. So that's the next really big project, but honestly, I don't want to promise anything for that because it might be a couple years before I get to it. And who knows, I might never get around to it, but that's another big project I want to do. Would I ever want to dialogue with Orthodox Kyle? So yeah, I've seen a couple of his videos. I've seen the response he did to the Trad Iceberg, and he seems like a pretty cool guy. So I certainly wouldn't be opposed to it, though I will say that I don't know a whole lot about Orthodoxy. So if we were to talk about that, he'd probably like kick my butt pretty bad. But Yeah, I wouldn't be inherently opposed to it. Okay, let me see what else is here. Oh, City of God. Yes, uh, that is on my list of reviews to do. So yeah, I will be doing that one in the future, but I've not read it as of now. Why are Ortho Bros and Sedevacantists so angry all the time? It's because schism is a sin against charity. That's why. If you don't have charity in your heart and you don't love God for his own sake and you don't love your neighbor for God's sake, then you'll start to be angry and bitter all the time. And because charity doesn't subsist in their hearts, and because they want to fracture the body of Christ and spread confusion. The wanting to do these things comes from a place of pride, and so they're angry all the time because they indulge in schism, which is a sin against charity. Thoughts about the Gnostics? I think they're really stupid, honestly. It's like, I've read some like ancient Gnostic texts, and it's like almost embarrassing that some people have fallen for it, and I think it's kind of making a resurgence through New Age practices. And if you listen to some New Age people online, they sound like the Gnostics, honestly, and the idea of there being this secret knowledge and the same type of esotericism. It's honestly, I think Gnosticism's a little stupid. Have I heard about Redeemed Zoomer? Yeah, so I actually remember I found his channel back when it was like smaller than mine is right now, and I was thinking about reaching out to him and saying like, oh hey, do you want to collaborate on anything or sit down and have a dialogue? And then I checked up on his channel a couple months after that, and I saw he had like several videos with like millions of views, and he has like 10 times the subscribers that I have. So now I'd feel just too I don't even know if I could like reach out to say like, hey, you want to collab or anything, because he's just like so much bigger than I am now. But I think that he has a good head on his shoulders. I think that I'm pretty impressed in terms of Protestant arguments and apologetics. He seems to be like even for being so young, he seems like to be one of the best at defending some of these positions. So that's really impressive to me. I think that his arguments in favor of Protestantism and against Catholicism, which that's most of the videos that I've seen from him, are the ones where he's arguing against Roman Catholicism. I think that they definitely have some problems, and I appreciate his movements to try and kind of reconservatize, if that's a word, the kind of non-Catholic Christian churches. But I think that it's ultimately I hate to put it so bluntly, but a bit of a dead end, because if you don't have the unity that comes in Catholicism, then it's bound to just keep fracturing apart more and more and more. So while there might be movements to bring more conservative values to it, I don't think it'll ultimately succeed unless they were to rejoin the Catholic Church. My thoughts on The Chosen. So I don't really like The Chosen. I used to be a big fan. I watched through the entire first and second season, and then I saw the season 3 premiere in theaters with my wife, and I mean, I liked it for a while, but it's just too it's too casual, I think. And I know that's kind of what they're going for, but I think there should be some amount of respect and dignity when portraying Jesus and the apostles that I don't necessarily feel when watching The Chosen. And what's weird is, and I know some people are going to say this says more about me than The Chosen, but I feel like the version of Christianity is so just beige and effeminate that they offer, that to the point where when they're showing the Pharisees and the Roman soldiers, I end up thinking they're cooler than the actual Christians in the show. So it's I think it's certainly helped some people in their faith, and that's good. Personally, I think it's not very great. It's a little too casual in its approach, but yeah. Will I do a live debate with Ascete? So that's actually interesting. I do want to debate Sedevacantism at some point, but it's because Sedevacantism is such a it's such a broad topic that has a lot of different ways it could go and a lot of different church documents to dig through. If I were to debate a sedevacantist, I think it should basically be the equivalent of a written debate, but in video format. So maybe hire some third party, and then we each make our opening statements, send it to the moderator sends it to us, and then we do responses, and then responses to those responses, and then closing statements, and then the whole thing gets uploaded as one video. Because I think that with live debates, one of the problems is I feel like not the best arguments are not being put forward in live debates, because people focus too much on gotcha tactics. And with sedevacantism, it's so easy to just bring up some random documents from the the most obscure corner of church history, and then if they're bringing up a document that I've not read and it's really obscure, I'll just have to say, like, I haven't read it, so I can't really comment on it. If I bring up a document and they've not read it, there's the same problem. So I think because of that specifically, I would much rather set up some sort of video back and forth style, similar to a written debate, and then have it uploaded all as one video later. But yeah, those are my thoughts. So it says here, hi, new here, just started watching your iceberg video. I'm currently in the learning stages of Catholicism, so I've not gone to church. Do you have any advice? Yeah, I would say that it's... Sorry, there's a person passing by. I'm trying to not get them live streamed against their consent. So, yeah, I would say that the most important thing is to just find a Catholic parish near you and start attending mass. And if you've not been baptized and you've not gone to confession, then you won't be able to receive the Eucharist at Mass. But I think that you can still be a part of things, show up at Mass, and talk to some people, talk to the priest about how to join the Catholic Church. Maybe send them an email and say, hey, I'm not Catholic yet, but I'm interested. And they should be able to take you through the official steps for converting. So yeah, that's the advice that I'd have. Who's my patron saint? So it's actually Saint Genesius, and he's for those of you who don't know, he's a saint from the 300s who, at least I think it was the 300s, and he was a stage actor, and he was performing on stages and participating in various plays. And the legends get a little contradictory at some points. He was either actively involved in writing a play mocking Christianity, or he was just an actor in it, depending on which version of events you go with. And this was during the Diocletian persecution. And so while he was on stage, he actually converted to Christianity and started professing his faith. And it said that angels came down from heaven to baptize him, and then right afterwards he was tortured and killed by Emperor Diocletian. So he's the patron saint of actors, playwrights, musicians, poets, lawyers, plumbers. So it's yeah, that's my patron saint, and it's kind of an interesting story. Would I rather be Protestant or Orthodox? I'm not sure how to answer that question, because I don't know. It's kind of just like asking which path to hell would I rather walk. So I don't know. I guess the Orthodox Church probably has better aesthetics. So my thoughts on Sensus Fidelium. I'm not sure if that's referring to like the sense of faith in general or the YouTube channel. In both cases, though, I'd say that it's pretty good. What do I think the third secret of Fatima is? It seems that many people who've read the third secret of Fatima and talked about it before it was supposedly released say it's about some sort of apostasy in the church. So it's impossible for me to say definitively without having read it, but it would seem to make the most sense that what was written about was some sort of mass apostasy from the faith, from you know, clerics, people in the church. So it's kind of hard to say, but that's probably what I would say. What would I consider acceptable media for Catholics? Is Metal Gear okay? What about Sound of Freedom? So I'm actually not familiar with either of those. I've not seen Sound of Freedom yet, though I plan to watch it. In terms of acceptable media, I cannot speak definitively on this. Personally, I would say things that Catholics should avoid are movies with nudity in it, or blasphemy, any type of like mockery of the faith. But in terms of what is acceptable, I think it would be best to talk to your priest, maybe sometime in confession. They would probably be able to give a better set of guidelines than I can, but I try to avoid all movies with nudity or blasphemy, and I'm working towards cutting out all movies that take God's name in vain, but yeah, that's what I would say. Would I have a boxing match with Orthodox Kyle? Oh boy, I don't know, honestly. That I don't know how to answer that question. That seems like it would be kind of fun. I don't know. My thoughts on monarchy. I mean, monarchy certainly isn't bad. I mean, we've had tons of monarchies throughout all of history, and they've all been really successful. They've you know, done their governmental duties properly. I know that there's a large movement of people right now who want to kind of copy paste monarchy and just put it right over America as we have it right now. I think that that's not really feasible in the way that I see a lot of people proposing it. I'm not against monarchy, but yeah, I think that when people talk about kind of copy pasting it to America, you know, right here and now, I think that's a little not feasible. Where am I from? I'm from the Midwest, so I've grown up in the Midwest. I've kind of bounced around from place to place in it. I've lived in, you know, most of the states there for a while. So yeah, that's generally where I'm from. What are my thoughts on the prophecies of the great Catholic monarch? So I've only heard about that recently. I first found out about it from the Vatican Catholic video trying to refute it, and then after that I didn't really think much of it, and then recently I heard my brother talk about it a little more and my cousins bringing it up, and it seems as if it's I would say it seems probably legitimate, because it's I know that the Vatican Catholic video, in trying to refute the idea, had to resort to, yes, there are genuine Catholic saints who've had prophecies about this, but the vision they received was infallible. Their own interpretation of it was fallible, though. And I think once you have to resort to arguments like that, it's like, okay, this seems pretty legitimate, just based off of how shoddy the arguments against it are. So those are my thoughts. I have not researched it a whole lot, though. So, all right, I'm probably going to wrap up here pretty soon, so if you guys have any last questions, be sure to drop them in the live chat. Oh, I see, I Miss Christendom has a video on it. Yeah, I actually have seen a lot of their videos, and I remember they actually commented on one of mine, which was really surprising. But yeah, they make a lot of great videos, so... Alright, so if there are not any last questions coming in here, then I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I know this has been a pretty informal video, a pretty informal update, so I might do some more of these in the future, but for now, I'm going to go ahead and just wrap up with these last few questions coming in, and then I'm going to officially sign off here. So, what is my favorite prayer? It changes from time to time. Right now, it's probably the Litany of Humility. It's my wife and I have a piece of paper, two of them set by our nightstand, and one side has like prayers we say every morning, and then one side has prayers we say at night every night. We don't get to it every single night because sometimes, you know, the baby's crying real loud at night or something, and we have to get him down. And but right now the Litany of Humility is one we say every morning, and it's kind of a good reminder that a lot of times you can get so wrapped up with pride that you don't even realize it, and it gets to the point when you start going through the list of things that kind of those humble mindsets, it's once you start realizing that it's really hard to agree with some of these, like oh, give me the grace to desire being forgotten and stuff like that. It's to be preferred, have others preferred in everything. It's a good reminder to be more humble. So I would say right now that's probably my favorite one. Is Hallow a good prayer app? So I've not used it too much. I know they recently had a controversy with, I think it was like Liam Neeson or something like that being featured. I've not used the app a whole lot. What I will say is they definitely have some good things on there, scripture readings, stuff like that, guided meditations. These are definitely good. I think that sometimes there's a little bit of a tendency to say, oh, once I get this app, then I'll start having a good prayer life. I think that a good prayer life should be aided by things like apps, but it ultimately comes internally first. So I think that should be the primary focus, I guess. What's the deal with the gay blessings? Is it taken out of context, or is it really problematic? So I've not spoken on this in my channel yet, and maybe I'm being dumb by even talking about it right now, but I think that the document itself, there's nothing wrong with it, and Fiducia Supplicans, most people who are criticizing it have not read it in full, and it's and I think there's a lot of great analysis out there from some people showing how the puzzle pieces do fit if you try to read it in an orthodox manner. And if you see some of the things happening in the church right now, like them instructing priests to keep the blessings under 15 seconds, and it shouldn't be mistaken for a wedding, it shouldn't look liturgical. It's like, okay, these are all good things. I know that it will be abused. I know they're going to completely abuse this, and several years down the road, we're probably going to have things that basically look like same-sex marriages in Catholic churches. And if anyone points out that they're not supposed to be doing it, it's going to be the same reaction you get if you tell people now that they're not allowed to receive communion in the hand, or at least they shouldn't be doing it, or that extraordinary ministers should not be used every single Sunday. People are just going to say, oh, come on, you're being pharisaical, you know, letter of the law and spirit of the law. So I know that it will be abused. But I think the document by itself, we should be really, really careful when even starting to assume that the church can say something erroneous, especially in these sorts of contexts. So I don't know. That's what I say. Is there any way to contact me outside of YouTube? Yeah, so I have my Instagram account. You can DM that. It's I check it once every few days. I also have an email account, which you can find. I think it's in the about page for my channel. It's thegenzcatholic@gmail.com. I also check that once every several days. So yeah. Find it hard to pray the rosary. Yeah, so one thing that helps with that, especially with the meditation, if you're not able to spend like 15 whole minutes in prayer all at once, and your mind gets distracted often and you can't really focus on it. One thing that helps is to break it up throughout the day. while kind of working yourself towards being able to spend that whole 15 minutes. So maybe when you get up, say 1 decade of the rosary, and just kind of really, whatever mystery you're on, just try to visualize it in your mind, and then just kind of leave it there. And then maybe after breakfast, say another decade, and just really focus on different aspects of it, different parts that you can visualize. And then once you feel like you've gotten pretty confident at that, try to maybe do 2 decades at a time, and then eventually try to say the whole thing all at once. But yeah. I think my wife is actually in the live chat right now. Yeah, Catholic Truth made a video on the document. I actually work for Catholic Truth, so my boss is Brian Mercier. I run the social media pages. So yeah, you can check their Instagram. A good deal of those posts I set up. I work as their social media manager. So, oh, this person says, my dad got me a Douay Rheims for Christmas. I actually also got a Douay Rheims for Christmas from my dad as well, several years ago, and I've been using it ever since. And the Douay Rheims is probably my favorite translation. It can be a little wordy and hard to follow sometimes, but it's if you take a passage, like a whole chapter or something, and then read it in a really easy translation, like you know, RSV, or maybe even like Good News if you want to go super simple, and then reread it in the Douay Rheims, that's something that helped me when trying to navigate like the dense passages of the Old Testament that no one ever talks about. But yeah, the Douay Rheims is like the greatest translation out there. Okay, so see, Deuterocomical is here in the live stream. Yeah, he and I are actually going to be doing a collab pretty soon. We're going to be, I think it's going to be a really great video, really funny. So, but yeah, so I really hate to leave it on that note, but unfortunately we've been going for about 47 minutes. It's starting to get a little dark out here, and I don't want to get kicked out of this park. So, thanks for watching, everyone. Seriously, 10,000 subscribers is just unbelievable to me. It's, you know, I never really thought that I'd get to the point where there was anyone watching these videos. If you watch my old ones, which I actually can't bring myself to rewatch those videos because of how bad they are. You know, it's just me messing around in my free time, and you know, with things blowing up with the iceberg, there's a lot of people who joined on, and I can't believe that it's gotten to this point. So going forward, things are probably going to be a lot more, I guess, casual with the channel in terms of the upload schedule. It's not going to be anything too formal, but I still want to provide high quality content for you guys. I want to take my time and make sure that the videos are good that I'm putting out. So thank you so much for 10,000. I'm going to try to keep making videos for as long as I can for you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off here, and God bless you all.